Steel screamed as his strength pushed forward, grit burning his vision. Ryan hadn't planned to discover anything in the desolate wasteland, let alone a celestial visitor. But that's what the villagers named it, the mangled mass of alloy that had plummeted 4 nights past, carving a kilometer-wide scar through the crimson soil. The army sealed the zone within moments, but Ryan understood these peaks better than any inexperienced soldier with a weapon. He'd bypassed their blockade as naturally as walking. Now, as he planted his heel against the bent structure of what must be an entrance, he questioned if the danger had been justified. His 32-year-old physique, strengthened by decades of elite military service before his disgraceful dismissal, fought against the locked portal. Moisture dripped down his exposed torso, revealing the complex web of detailed designs etched across his flesh. Markings he'd discovered after that last secret operation and 3 lost nights he couldn't recall. "Come on, you corroded piece of—" The alloy yielded with a whisper, and Ryan stumbled inside, steadying himself against the framework. Within, shadows beckoned, broken by dim azure pulses that throbbed like circulation. The atmosphere that emerged smelled strange, not musty as he'd anticipated, but clean with traces of something resembling vanilla and electricity. His palm touched the entrance to balance himself, and a shock traveled through his limb. In the pale radiance from beyond, Ryan observed with expanding pupils as the intricate designs carved across his torso and limbs started to shine, each marking activating in order like processors awakening. The identical azure as the craft's internal illumination. "What in blazes?" he muttered, but somewhere deep, a fragment of him felt unsurprised. Some hidden impulse had pulled him here from the instant the object descended from above. Something that resembled remembrance. Mental pieces flashed through his consciousness. A clean chamber, physicians in coverings, his agreement document for Operation Star Genesis signed with a firm grip. They'd explained it was an advanced scouting initiative, undercover assignment. He'd never conceived how profound. From inside the craft, a gentle female tone spoke in a dialect that should have been foreign, but somehow felt perfectly clear. "Commander Davidson, however, welcome back. Sleep mode ended. Assignment status threatened." A display near the doorway brightened, showing what seemed to be a stellar chart, the identical designs as his markings. Not markings, guidance codes embedded into his tissue. Ryan, or whoever he had existed before, moved deeper within, directed by instinctive knowledge he didn't realize he owned. His digits located interface panels without pause. How much time? He questioned, the alien tongue flowing from his mouth. "Easily, 27 stellar periods since infiltration started," the craft replied. "Subject merger finished. Memory blocking partially broken." He pressed his hand against a glowing surface, and the craft became completely active around him. Displays ignited, revealing pictures of Earth, of defense facilities, of combat technology. His assignment hadn't been scouting. It had been evaluation? Groundwork for what? He feared to inquire. Colonel Diana Walsh crumpled the paper container in her grip, cold beverage spilling across her digits. The monitoring feeds revealed nothing. But barren desert, where incident location Omega should have been watched. Interference replaced every camera position. "What do you mean it's disappeared?" she insisted. "A 90-ton unknown object doesn't simply vanish." Lieutenant Freeman moved uneasily. "Ma'am, initial reports indicate it powered up roughly 23 minutes past." Power readings surged beyond measurement, then disappeared along with the object. Walsh's gaze sharpened, and Subject 7. Identity scanning caught him entering the boundary roughly 40 minutes before activation. He hasn't surfaced. She faced the glass, gazing out at the desert twilight. 7. Always 7. It wasn't coincidental. None of the other subjects had displayed the same brain responses during the integration process. Only Ryan Teller had embraced the neural programming without resistance. Only he had survived with his sanity preserved. Or so they'd believed. "Summon Strike Force Delta," she commanded. "And contact General Harrington. We're at Crisis Black." The memory of Subject 7's initial evaluation played in her thoughts. His mental profile, his flawless duty record, his absence of family ties. The perfect choice, they'd claimed, no one to notice him if something went badly. Something had gone terribly badly indeed. Inside the craft, Ryan stood in what he now recognized was a control room. The ship wasn't huge, built for a team of 3, though he was the sole occupant. Through the windows he could observe they were no longer in the desert, but hovering somewhere in Earth's high atmosphere hidden from detection. His palms moved across the interfaces with expert skill, instinctive knowledge directing him, even as his aware mind fought to balance 2 groups of memories, one human, one not. Identity confusion detected, the craft's AI noted. Brain patterns show integration pressure. You could phrase that, Ryan grumbled. I have 2 separate individuals in my skull. The AI showed brain images on a close monitor. Correction, you have 1 awareness. Your true awareness, Commander Marcus, however, with additional human experiences. The human Ryan Teller was never genuine. He struck his fist against the wall. I have 36 years of experiences that claim differently. False experiences supplemented by real experiences across 7 Earth years. Your assignment required deep infiltration. The human military helped unknowingly through their Operation Star Genesis, trying to reverse engineer technology from a prior scout craft. They thought they were implanting you with control mechanisms. Instead, you were analyzing them. Ryan supported himself against the control station, observing as the markings, the guidance codes, continued to pulse with azure light. His image in a dark screen showed his features, the same features he'd always recognized, but now appeared like a disguise worn too long. What was the assignment? He inquired finally. Evaluation of planetary defenses, assessment of threat level, preparation for potential first contact or invasion. The AI stopped. Classification depends on evaluation outcome. Ryan shut his eyes. 7 years passed. He'd volunteered for an experimental program that promised to transform soldiers into something greater. He'd awakened with unusual markings on his flesh, recurring visions of stars in unfamiliar arrangements, and holes in his memory that military psychologists blamed on the procedure. 3 years later, they'd released him when the visions became too regular, his conduct too unstable. They'd watched him since naturally. He'd noticed the surveillance frequently enough, but they'd never contacted him again until 3 nights passed when the dreams had become unbearable, driving him toward the desert with focused intent. Display the assignment data, he stated. The screens filled with information, analysis of Earth's military abilities, political systems, resource control, conflict behaviors, humanity exposed through alien vision, his vision. Threat evaluation? He inquired, incomplete. Final decision requires commander approval. He understood. Then he wasn't merely a scout or a spy. He was the one meant to make the choice whether Earth was a danger to be eliminated or a potential partner. A counter appeared on the main screen. 13,827 and counting backward. What occurs in 1 hour and 38 minutes? Central Command creates contact. Initial report expected. Less than 2 hours to determine the destiny of a world. His world, which allegiance was genuine. The one he'd been programmed with, or the one he'd experienced. The craft trembled suddenly, warnings blaring. Multiple aircraft approaching, weapon systems ready. Earth military has found our location. Through the view screen, Ryan saw them. Advanced fighters, designs he recognized from classified briefings. They'd been developing them based on technology recovered from the previous scout craft. His own assignment data had helped create them. Evasive maneuvers he commanded, and the craft responded instantly, banking hard. The G-forces would have destroyed an ordinary human, but his body absorbed the strain easily, another sign he wasn't what he'd believed himself to be. They're targeting propulsion systems, the AI reported. Tactical analysis suggests they intend capture, not destruction. Naturally, Walsh would want the craft intact, and him as well, if possible. A new memory emerged. Diana Walsh, younger in a laboratory coat instead of a uniform, leaning over him as he lies secured to a table. The procedure was successful, General. Subject 7 shows complete integration of the neural pathways. The implanted memories are holding. They'd known at some level they'd known he wasn't human. Communications incoming, the AI announced. Walsh's voice filled the command center. Subject 7, Ryan, we know you can hear us. The vessel you've commandeered is government property. Return it to the designated coordinates immediately, Ryan laughed bitterly. Government property. This craft is older than your civilization. A pause. Then we're prepared to negotiate, Ryan. Whatever they've told you, whatever you believe right now, we can help you. Like you helped me before by using me as your test subject. We saved your life. Walsh said, her voice steady. The entity you're experiencing is memories. It was dying when we found it. The integration was the only way to preserve its consciousness. We gave it a second chance inside a human host inside you. The craft rocked as defensive measures deflected. Weapons fire. Commander, enemy vessel targeting life support systems, the AI warned. Ryan's hands flew over the controls, amplifying shields. The maneuvers came naturally, confirming Walsh's words. These weren't skills Ryan Teller had ever learned. Verification, he demanded of the AI, was the original Marcus, though consciousness? Recovered from a damaged vessel? Affirmative. Original biological form non-viable. Consciousness preserved in craft's emergency systems. Integration with compatible species authorized under Survival Protocol 6. The revelation hit him like physical blow. He hadn't infiltrated humanity. He'd been rescued by them, even if that rescue had served their own purposes. Walsh, he said into the communication system, if what you're saying is true, then why are you trying to shoot me down? Because the craft is activating a beacon. Our deep space monitoring detected it the moment you brought the systems online. You're calling the others, Ryan, whether you know it or not. The counter on the screen seemed to mock him now. 10,452. Commander, the AI interrupted. Human aircraft are retreating to minimum safe distance. They have deployed a high-yield weapon. The scanners confirmed it. A hypersonic missile with a payload that made Ryan's blood run cold. Not nuclear, but something worse. A gravimetric device derived from the very technology they'd recovered from the previous scout craft. It would tear the vessel apart from the inside out and him with it. Maximum velocity, he commanded. Break atmosphere. Oh, insufficient energy reserves for escape velocity, the AI responded. Remaining option emergency landing, we're calculating optimal location based on pursuit probability and repair requirements. Ryan thought quickly. They wouldn't expect him to return to where he'd started. It would be the last place they'd look. The original crash site, he said. Take us there. The craft banked sharply, descending through the clouds as the missile gained on them. Warnings flashed across every screen. Impact in 19 seconds. Ryan placed his hands on the main control panel, the symbols on his skin glowing brighter than ever. Transfer all power to rear shields. Warning, this will deplete life support reserves. Do it. The craft shuddered as power redistributed. The missile detonated against the shields. The gravimetric waves sending them tumbling toward the earth faster than the craft could compensate for. Alarm screamed as they entered a flat spin. Brace for impact, the AI said, its voice eerily calm. Ryan laughed. Which part of me should brace? The human or the alien? The ground rushed up to meet them. Recovered footage. Site Omega Security Cam. 12. Timestamp 0322. The night vision footage shows the perimeter of a large impact crater. Military vehicles surround the area. Lights sweeping across the disturbed earth. A flash of light fills the frame momentarily, causing the camera to adjust. When the image clears, a second crater has appeared approximately 200 meters from the first. Personnel run toward the new impact site, weapons raised. The footage distorts with static, then clears to show a figure emerging from the second crater. Male, shirtless with illuminated patterns across his skin that interfere with the camera's night vision function. The figure moves with unnatural speed, disabling 3 armed guards before they can fire. Colonel Diana Walsh enters the frame alone, sidearm drawn but pointed downward. Audio begins. Walsh, Ryan, or should I call you Marcus, though? Subject. I answer to both now. Interesting situation, isn't it? Walsh, the beacon. Did it transmit? Subject. Not yet. I stopped it. Walsh, why would you do that? Subject gestured toward the original crash site. Because I'm starting to remember everything, including what happened to the last scout team. Walsh, they attacked a military installation. We defended ourselves. Subject, after you captured them, after you dissected one of them while still conscious, Walsh, that was before my time. Subject, but not before your father's. General Walsh made his career on that capture, passed all his knowledge to his daughter. Walsh visibly tenses. Walsh, what do you want? Subject, time, the Central Command will send others when I don't report. I need to prepare everyone. Walsh, how much time? Subject, not enough. A bright light emanates from the original crash site. Both figures turn toward it. Subject, there. Earlier than expected. Footage ends with whiteout as light intensity exceeds camera capacity. Pain woke him. Familiar human pain. Ryan opened his eyes to see stars above. Real stars? Not the ones from his forgotten memories? He lay at the edge of the new crater. His body broken in ways that should have been fatal, yet he lived. The alien technology integrated into his cells was repairing the damage slowly. The symbols on his skin no longer glowed. The connection to the craft was severed, likely destroyed in the crash. He was alone in his mind for the first time in years. Both Ryan and Marcus, however, no longer fighting for control but merged into something new. He rolled onto his side, seeing Walsh approaching cautiously across the disturbed earth. Behind her, military vehicles formed a perimeter, floodlights casting harsh shadows. Is it true? She asked, stopping a safe distance away. Are more coming? Ryan nodded, pushing himself to a sitting position, despite the protestations of his healing body, but not for the reasons you think. I remember now, my mission wasn't preparation for invasion, then what? Rescue. He looked toward the original crash site where the first craft still lay half buried. The scout team you captured 79 years ago wasn't an invasion force. They were refugees fleeing something worse. Something that's been chasing them across the galaxy. Walsh's expression hardened with skepticism. Convenient explanation. Scan the outer solar system. Ryan said, you have the technology now. Look for anomalies near Neptune's orbit. That's where they'll appear first. They the real threat. The one my people have been running from for generations. He managed to stand, swaying slightly. Your father's actions delayed the warning by decades. The scout team was trying to establish an outpost, an early warning system. Instead, you captured them, studied them, and integrated their technology into your weapons. Walsh's hand moved to her sidearm. Why should I believe you? Because in approximately 6 hours, something is going to emerge from subspace near Neptune. Your deep space monitors will detect it as a gravity wave at first. By the time you identify it as artificial, it'll be past Mars. What is it? Ryan closed his eyes, accessing memories that were becoming clearer by the minute. We called them the harvesters. They don't invade worlds, they consume them, break them down to base elements. In the distance, the original crash site began to glow with the same azure light that had illuminated his skin. The dormant craft responding to some signal only it could detect. I can help you, Ryan said. My people can help you, but you need to make a choice right now, Colonel Walsh. The same choice your father faced. Cooperation or conflict? Walsh studied him for a long moment, then activated her commune. This is Colonel Walsh. Get me a direct line to the President. Priority Alpha, she looked back at Ryan. If you're lying, I'm not. And deep down, you know it. The recovered technology, the star maps, the warnings encoded in the data you stole. It's all been pointing to this moment. He extended his hand. Humanity isn't ready to face this alone? The ground trembled beneath them as the original craft began to rise from its resting place. Decades of dirt and camouflage falling away to reveal its true form. Unlike the scout vessel Ryan had arrived in, this was larger, designed for extended missions. Walsh's unit crackled. Colonel, we have unidentified readings from deep space monitoring stations. Something just appeared near Neptune's orbit. 6 hours had become minutes. Ryan felt it in his bones, the familiar dread. the instinctive recognition of an ancient enemy. "Your choice, Colonel," he said quietly. Now Walsh holstered her weapon and took his offered hand. "What do we do?" For the first time since waking with strange markings and fractured memories, Ryan felt whole. Two sets of experiences, two perspectives, merged into one purpose. "We prepare," he said, looking toward the rising craft that would become Earth's first true defense. "And we stand together." Above them, stars winked out one by one as something vast moved across the night sky. The harvesting had begun, but for the first time in his dual existence, Ryan felt something unexpected: hope